Hey everybody, John here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for May 7th. You know, it's beginning to seem more like a early summer briefing. I've got some really warm weather. I'm talking about scattered thunderstorms. You'll see. Stay tuned. Let's get started. Well, take a look at all the boundaries across the nation right now, and each one of these boundaries serves as a focus for some chance of precipitation. Outflow boundaries here, warm front, stationary front. And we take a look at the rain last week, and it definitely looks more scattered. Each one of these is associated with maybe some thunderstorms here and there, but you can see they don't cover a whole lot of overall extent. Now, one exception is the northeast U.S. that had some more widespread rain, parts of Montana. Good news is over the upper Midwest, where we have a flood wave coming down the Mississippi, there was not much significant rain. And I don't look at necessarily the this little band right here, which is 2 inches. I look at the geographic extent or the basin scale, and these red lines are the basin. So this is the upper Mississippi, so anything coming into the Mississippi from tributaries would fall in here. So that's good news. Now, as far as temperatures go, you can see here we had really a dividing line here with the eastern U.S. well below normal. A cool week in the central and east. Matter of fact, look at the Ohio Valley states. That was 10 degrees to as much as 15 degrees below normal. And the northwest U.S., Montana, look at that, 10 to 15 degrees above normal. The warmest temperatures of the week, look at this, blue. It only made it into the 50s in the northeast U.S., so really cool weather. Even green was only in the 70s, so a cool week over large parts of the nation. And that's going to really change here. So many areas that have been cool are going to really feel like spring, if not summer, has finally arrived. So here's the soil temperatures, and with that warm air, soils are starting to warm now. 70s pushing up well into the Midwest now. That's sort of a key temperature here. So, but still really cool here, 40s and 50s up in the upper Midwest. Now, dew points are also pushing to the north. This morning we have dew points in the 60s to near 70, as far north as parts of eastern Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. Another sign of summer with these dew points, are at least spring, core of spring months, dew points pushing up to the north. So what about the Mississippi River flood? Well, it has now crested and is dropping over all the way down to pretty close to the Missouri border, and then it's cresting down to near St. Louis. And when you look at how these rivers are falling now, that's really a huge amount of volume or flow that's sort of falling. So from this point here to this point, that's a lot of water. So even if we get some more rain upstream, it's highly unlikely that that's going to bring us anywhere close to what we've already seen. So positive news. I think we've most likely, especially the other thing is we have the spring green up, so we have friction, not as much runoff gets into rivers. So it definitely looks to me like, you can never say never in talking about the weather, but right now it's looking pretty good, like we've seen our highest flows. Okay, so the forecast this week is going to be dominated by a very strong ridge of high pressure over the nation, a very strong polar vortex, which is holding the cold air to the north. The jet stream, this ensemble of jet streams here, this blue line, is well to the north, and that's going to mean a continuation of some really mild weather. And like I said earlier, it's going to be pretty abrupt for many areas. This is the last 30-day temperature average, green being below normal. So many areas it's been really cool, and we're going to go from that really cool weather up to some more really late spring or early summer-like temperatures. Look at this area here. This has been impacted by the snow on the ground, North Dakota. And that was, that's off the scale almost. That's 10 degrees or more below normal for the last 30 days. And they're going to warm up. Parts of the Dakotas, which have been below normal for the whole winter season, are going to now finally get above normal since that snow has melted. And parts of this right here in the central U.S., 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Now that's the first 5 days in the forecast, and here's the second. And the heat shifts up into the northwest U.S., and we are looking at areas in the northwest being unusually warm, and then some cooler air here in Texas, and we're going to be a chance of some heavy rain and clouds, and that's going to keep that area cooler than normal. So where do we need rain the most? Well, Kansas stands out. Parts of Kansas, Nebraska, western Oklahoma, and parts of Texas stand out, especially the Texas panhandle here. And with that, where do we expect the rain this week? Well, some areas are going to get some needed rain. Parts of Kansas could get an inch or so. Large parts of Texas are going to be very active with heavy rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain. Much of this coming later in the week, but not necessarily falling where it's needed the most. But still, this is going to help the drought situation in Texas. And then large parts of Montana, also some pretty heavy rain. Now, there will be a chance of severe thunderstorms, and this is sort of a summertime forecast as well. Smaller areas, more localized. Today, the best risk in this area, enhanced risk. In the next 2 days, a slight risk in these areas. And finally, to wrap up today's briefing, let's take a look at the extended outlook and look at the western U.S., particularly the northwest. We are now looking at, once that warm air settles in later this week, it looks like it's going to extend a good 2 weeks into the middle part of the month of May. And also take a look at the precipitation. Pretty strong signals here for dry weather, so lots of good field work days ahead for large parts of the Midwest. Now, the southwest U.S. could use some rain. Looks like some rain in that area. That's the first briefing for May. I hope it helps you in your planning. Have a great week.